Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you will receive alerts when there are new episodes. Go get it.
That's what I tell 'em. I've been grinding for so long, I wake up and chase my goals. I go out and I go get it. How to code, that's all I know. I don't succeed, then I don't breathe. Success, what does it mean? If I conquer all my goals, then I'm living out my dream. Dig deep, go out and get it. Success Chronicles. Compete until it's finished. Success Chronicles. Go take care of your business. Success Chronicles. It's deeper than just winning. Success Chronicles.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chip Baker coming to you with another episode of the Success Chronicles. And today we're here with Principal Lakeasha Williams, a great lady doing some awesome things. And I'm so thankful to have her on this episode of the Success Chronicles. So first, thanks so much for taking the time to interview.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, let's dive into it.
One correction. Principal Shine On Lakeasha Williams.
Oh, Principal Shine On Lakeasha Williams. All right, now we're good. Okay. But if you don't mind diving in and talking a little bit about your story and tracking your journey to now.
Okay. When I think about my story, I have to include like my family's history because I
Yes.
believe that those characteristics that were developed in me came from somewhere. You know, we stand on the shoulders of those before us. So I think about my grandmother and her resilience to her resilient nature that she had to have in order to be able to leave the South in the 60s, leave an abusive marriage, you know, leave her family and just start out fresh in New York City because she knew that she wanted better. She wanted better for herself. She wanted better for her children. I think about my parents, you know, I grew up in the poor communities of New York City, East New York, Brownsville, and Bed-Stuy. But when I was younger, like I didn't know I was poor, you know, because
Yeah.
my parents loved us and my parents always spoke about just like doing good in life, being good, doing good, make sure you get an education. And so they definitely instilled a work ethic in me and just making sure that you always do your best. You know, my parents are still together almost 50 years later, and they're still like my number one cheerleaders, you know, just always believing in me. Um, so I feel like, you know, those characteristics are the love, the resilience, the work ethic, the you can do it attitude that shaped me into who I was. So even though I became a teen mom and I had my first son at 16 years old, I was still able to draw on those experiences and become resilient myself and making sure that I still continue to do what I knew my parents, you know, wanted me to do with my life overall. And that helped me to continue to evolve and make sure that I did become successful. And for me, it wasn't only about me being successful because I was a young mother, right? It was also important for me for my children to become successful. So, you know, I ended up having two sons, you know, by 20 years old. And I definitely knew that my children were not going to become a statistic. And so those are the things that really drove me and just made me determined to do what I needed to do. So once upon a time when their dad and I divorced, you know, single mom living in housing at the time, I was not driving. And you think about Brooklyn, those who know Brooklyn, when you go from one side of Brooklyn, I was going from the north side of Brooklyn to the south side of Brooklyn on almost 2 hour long bus ride. Because I was working on one side, I had to get on the bus, go to the other side to pick up my children from school, to get back on the bus, to head to college, and my children went to school with me. But again, that was the same resilience that my grandmother had. That was the same resilience that my parents had. And that was the same fortitude that I have as a principal today in order to make sure that those are the the skills and the resilient nature and the love that I impart in my children to make sure that they too know it is possible and it is expected that they also become successful in their lives as well.
So good. Such a good story. Well, what are 3 things you've accomplished in your life that you're proud of?
When I think about my life overall, so here's the thing with me, right? I am unapologetically me, and that's the first thing that I'm most proud of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unapologetically me. So sure, we know that I have multiple college degrees. I'm also in the PhD program, and I'm pursuing my PhD in the fall in educational leadership, focusing specifically on school turnaround. But even though I have those degrees, I'm most proud of the fact that I am unapologetically me. You cannot define me. I define me. And that's how I raise my children, right? You don't allow anybody to tell you who you should be, who you can be, right? Or who you are. You define you. And in terms of thinking about being successful, I think when we first accept that and embrace that, then we could do anything else that we want to do. So I am most proud of the fact that I accept me, or accept me, and I'm unapologetic for me. The second thing that I am most proud of is motherhood.
Yeah.
I love my children. You know, my boys are now 25 and 29 years old. They're both successful in their own right. And I could not do everything that I'm doing if my children were not okay. So given the fact that I was a teen mom, again, I think because my parents were from the South, like my family's originally from the South, and they've always been in my life, you know, and they definitely helped me with raising my children. I believe that's what enabled me to, even though I was a young mom, I was still a good mom. And I was very big on, I'm not your friend, I'm your mother.
Hey, man, that's a whole nother episode right there. I had an experience this week on that, but that's a whole nother episode. Okay.
So, but I'm definitely proud of motherhood. And again, that would definitely be another episode, because motherhood is the hardest hood that you would ever come through. It was not easy. It's not easy at all. But you know what? By the grace of God, we made it through. So that's the second thing that I'm proud of, motherhood. The third thing that I'm most proud of is my ability to relate to people. So I'm spiritual, right? I grew up in the Kingdom Hall, but then when I became an adult, like my mom went back to her traditional Baptist Christian roots, right? So I've always looked at religion, you know, a little bit differently. And the way I raised my children was, God doesn't care if you attend a church, the Kingdom Hall, synagogue, mosque, temple. God cares how you treat other people. That's what he cares the most about, right? So for me, the third thing that I'm most proud of is I have the ability to be able to relate to anybody across all walks of life. And I believe that skill set is what enables me to be not only a principal that's focusing on instructional leadership, but a community leader that's focusing on uplifting and positively impacting everybody in our community. Because if we want stronger schools, then we must have stronger communities. So those are the three things that I'm most proud of.
So true. Being unapologetically you. Motherhood, hardest hood you ever go through. and being able to relate to anyone. I think definitely 3 things to be proud of. Such a neat journey that you've been on, been blessed to achieve some really cool things. And I would consider all of that hugely successful. So let's hit on success. What is your definition of success?
So again, I'm not the traditional person that's going to say the picket house, the cars, you know, the signature cars. That's just not me, right? My definition of success is your ability to do better, your ability to self-reflect, your ability to problem solve, your ability to focus on the greater good. So when you look at your life, are you better than you were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Because again, when you look at my journey, right? It's not the same as your journey. It's not the same as the next person's journey, but it's my journey. And have I been successful along the way? Absolutely. But there are people who wrote me off at 16. She's a teen mom. Her life is over. She's not going to do anything with her life, right? There are people who believe that if you don't achieve a certain level of degrees or whatever, right, then they feel like you're not successful. And I believe and that's also inherently what holds us back, right? Everybody has a different journey in life, because I believe in God wholeheartedly, and I also believe that he uses each of us for different purposes. So as long as you are focusing on getting better and improving yourself, and you can say that I am better than I was yesterday, last month, last year, then you are successful. And that is the definition of success in my book.
That's awesome. Well, before we get off, if you don't mind sharing with the audience where they can go follow you and check you out and show you some love.
Be sure to follow me on Instagram at principal_Shine On Lakeasha. And that's Lakeasha spelled Lakeasha. Also be on the lookout for my website that's currently being worked on as we speak. Once that is officially live, I'll be sure to share that on my Instagram page as well.
There it is. Again, I just want to say thanks so much for taking the time to interview with the Success Chronicles. I truly appreciate it, and I wish you continued success.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, thank you guys for checking out this episode. We'll see you next time. God bless.
Thank you.
Go get it.